Anking Chucky, the Child's Play movie reviews. Welcome to the first of a possible new series looking at movie franchises. I mean, why the hell not, right? And given my love for horror, starting off with one of my favorite horror franchises, all of which I've seen again just in the last couple of years, seems like a good place to start. And who better than to start with than Chucky? The original Child's Play was released in 1988 and directed by Tom Holland, who of course also directed the original Fright Night in 1985. Child's Play stars Chris Sarandon, who was the vampire villain of Fright Night but is a heroic cop in this, Catherine Hicks, Alex Vincent and the legendary Brad Dourif as the voice of everyone's favorite killer doll. Child's Play is of course a classic. The original and the best Chucky movie. The effects are still amazing. No fucking CGI here, people, just puppetry, animatronics and talent, and the film walks a lovely line between chills and absurdity without falling over the line like some of the sequels. The climax is brilliantly tense, that is one mean mother of a doll, and the moment, exactly halfway through the picture, when we finally see Chucky come to life is just wonderfully deranged. You stupid bitch. I'll teach you to fuck with me. Absolute fucking classic. I can give Child's Play nothing less than a full-on A+. Next up is Child's Play 2, released in 1990. I hadn't seen this for over 20 years up until a couple of years back. Little Andy has been placed in temporary foster care after the events of the original, and everyone thinks he's doolally for going on about his killer doll. Nonetheless, the good guy firm has suffered bad publicity, and makes the deeply stupid mistake of reconstructing the original doll to prove there's nothing wrong with it. Needless to say, it's not long before Chucky's back up and killing. Have to say, had a blast with this. It's not quite as good as the original, but it's still absolutely great fun and I was jumping and cackling throughout. I love these stupid movies. Child's Play 2 totally deserves a straight A. Child's Play 3 is next. Released in 1991. This seems a bit of a rush release barely a year after 2, also feels like it too. It's the weakest of the series so far, with little Andy now teenage Andy, played by a different actor, and considerably less endearing than the original. The military academy setting is different, but not particularly interesting, and while there are a handful of good moments, the law of diminishing returns has definitely set in here. It's not bad but it's not particularly great either. One of the weaker entries in the series, I give Child's Play 3 a C+. Fortunately the somewhat belated fourth film, Bride of Chucky, released in 1998, is a great return to form, albeit by turning the tone even more comedic than ever. Chucky's human girlfriend, from when he was human, Tiffany, Jennifer Tilly, gets a hold of the killer doll's remains and uses black magic to again bring him back from the dead. He shows his gratitude by offing her and then bringing her back, as a doll. The two maniacal dolls then begin a cross-country road trip, hitching a ride with two runaway teenage sweethearts, who are increasingly confused and alarmed as to why they seem to keep leaving a trail of corpses in their wake. Bride of Chucky is an absolute riot from start to finish, full of spark and invention and an endless stream of great jokes and bonkers moments. The doll sex scene has to be seen to be believed. I found the third film a bit on the dull side, but was cackling merrily throughout this one. Great fun. I give Bride of Chucky another straight A. Next up was Seed of Chucky from 2004. I've seen this in full back in the day but I couldn't even sit through more than half an hour last time. The worst of the series by some considerable distance, it tries to capitalize on the success of the more comedic Bride of Chucky by turning up the zany factor by 1000 but only succeeds in becoming a complete joke. Bride worked because, while it was frequently hilarious, it still had horror and it maintained truth with the series' internal logic. Seed is just dumb. It's not scary, it's not funny, and you don't give a toss about anyone. It's an absolute clusterfuck of a film that very nearly killed the franchise completely and it deserves nothing but an F. Indeed, Seed was such a clusterfuck that it took another 9 years for another film in the series to be made, and now no longer for theaters but straight to DVD, streaming what the fuck ever, in the form of 2013's Curse of Chucky. This ended up nearly being a remake, reboot, and some fans feared it was even when it came out, given it focuses on an entirely new family coming into contact with the killer doll, but turns out to be nothing of the sort. If there's a reboot quality about it, it's the so-called soft reboot, as it maintains continuity but throws out the lunacy of the last 2 installments and goes back to basics in an attempt to return to the sinister and creepy tone of the originals and make Chucky scary again. For the most part, perhaps surprisingly, it succeeds. As a family, including a young woman confined to a wheelchair, are stalked in their old house on a dark and stormy night by said killer doll, who has been waiting a long time to settle this particular score. There are some niggles, the nature of the family's connection to Chucky is a bit convoluted, and the CGI blood is annoying. But, I thoroughly enjoyed it nonetheless, even more so on second viewing just recently. Particularly delightful was the post-end credits coda, as Chucky gets himself mailed to the all-grown-up Andy Barclay, the hero of the first 3 films, and played by Alex Vincent, the original actor who played him as a little boy in the first 2, only to find Andy ready and waiting for him. This is a great scene, that in its admitted brevity manages to give some closure to Andy's story, ignored since 3, and makes it clear that he and his family are doing well after Chucky ruined their lives all those years ago. The photos on the wall of not just his mum but his surrogate foster sister, from 2, and girlfriend, from 3, are also a nice touch. A major return to form after the disastrous Seed, Curse successfully darkens the tone and the character again, while still keeping a sense of humor, of course. I give Curse of Chucky yet another straight A. Despite the slight disappointment of Child's Play 3 and the utter shitfest that is Seed, I love the Chucky movies to death. Very much looking forward to the upcoming Cult of Chucky later this year, and I give the franchise an overall rating of A.